If you're struggling with IELTS Academic Writing Task 1, then this video is for you. In this video, we will be talking about what is IELTS Academic Writing Task 1, why do many people struggle with this task even though it is easy, and we will also be talking about the marking criteria. And I'm gonna teach you how to write an introduction, overview, and body paragraphs, and after knowing how to write them, we will be talking about every single question type in IELTS Academic Writing Task 1. And I've also got some bonus tips for you to succeed, and these tips are so time-saving, and these tips are so helpful for you. You might have a question. What is IELTS Academic Writing Task 1? It is simply a report on a chart, and your task is to describe what you see. Lots of people who find IELTS Writing Task 1 so difficult, and there's two main reasons for this. The first one is because they don't have accuracy when they're interpreting the data. For example, if it is between 17 and 20, they just write 18 or 19, but what they really need to do is having a great accuracy. For example, they can use words like around, or approximately, or about. These words are gonna be so helpful for the accuracy of your response. And the second reason why many people find it difficult is because they don't really understand what the IELTS writing examiner is looking for. And in this video, I'm gonna show you what IELTS examiners are looking for and what not to do. So now, let's talk about the marking criteria. If you look at the marking criteria of IELTS Writing Task 1, it might look so hard to understand, but let's simplify all of this in this video. So the first criteria is task achievement. So the main things in task achievement is whether you cover all requirements of the task. They include like summarizing the information by selecting key features and reporting them. And you also have to write a clear overview. And the other thing that IELTS examiners look for is making comparisons where relevant. The mistake a lot of students make is making irrelevant comparisons, and this might lead to a lower score. So the next one is coherence and cohesion. You might be thinking, what is it? And the main features of this criteria is that whether your ideas are organized logically. So it's so important for you to have a great organization of your ideas and information that you report in your essay. The next thing is logical paragraphs. So the mistake a lot of students make is having under or overuse of cohesive devices, and make sure that you use cohesive devices appropriately. The next one is lexical resource. It just means vocabulary. What you really need to focus on in this criteria is having no spelling errors. This is gonna be so helpful to have no spelling errors. And the other thing is the appropriateness of word choice. If you're not 100% sure about the meaning of the word, I don't really recommend you to use that in your essay, because this might lead to the inappropriateness of word choice. Last but not least, grammatical range and accuracy. It just means grammar. So you need to focus on mainly two things in this criteria. The first one is accuracy, and the second one is range. The majority of the sentences don't have to have errors in them, grammatical errors. And you also have to make sure that you have a range of grammatical structures as well. So you have understood what the IELTS examiner is looking for, and you've also understood what IELTS Academic Writing Task 1 is. So now let's move on to how to write a perfect IELTS Academic Writing Task 1 report. The first paragraph that you have is an introduction. In the introduction, your task is to paraphrase. So, we have a question. The graph below gives information about the price of bananas in 4 countries between 1994 and 2004. So we can paraphrase the statements. So we are going to change the graph into the line graph. Gives information about is going to be paraphrased as shows. The price of bananas can be similar to the cost of bananas. In 4 countries is going to be turned to in Japan, France, Germany, and the United States of America. Between 1994 and 2004 is going to be changed to from 1994 to 2004. As you can see, we have paraphrased it. And don't think that the only way to paraphrase is by using synonyms. There are lots of other ways of paraphrasing. For example, you can grammatically paraphrase the sentence as well. For example, let's say there is the graph below gives information about the price of bananas. We can paraphrase it as the line graph shows how much bananas cost. Here we have a grammatical paraphrase. We can specify the countries as well, as we've done in this case. We listed all 4 countries. Instead of saying 4 countries, we told Japan, France, Germany, and the United States. The next paragraph to write in your IELTS Academic Writing Task 1 is your overview. Some people recommend you to write it at the end of your reports, but I don't really suggest it because if you might run out of time, you will even have your overview if you write it as your second paragraph. And so you might be thinking, how are we gonna write the overview? What you need to do is to just identify 2 or 3 main things in the visual that you see in your task. They can be some very high points or very low points, and you can make comparisons as well. You might also talk about overall increases or overall decreases, and in some cases you can also talk about overall fluctuations of that chart. But don't forget that you don't need to write the exact data. You don't have to specify the numbers in that paragraph. After writing your introduction and overview, what you need to really focus on is your body paragraphs. I suggest you to have 2 body paragraphs in your report, and those paragraphs have to be logically organized. For example, there are lots of ways of logically organizing your body paragraphs. The first one is by countries. For example, if you have 6 countries on your chart, describe 3 of them in your first body paragraph and describe 3 other countries in your second paragraph. You can also logically organize your reports by similar trends. There's also another way of logically organizing your body paragraph, and that is by dividing the time frame into 2 parts and describing the first part of that time frame in the first body paragraph and describing the second time frame in the second body paragraph. By the way, you need to select and report key features, not every single detail of that chart. You've now learned how to write a perfect IELTS Writing Task 1 academic report. So now let's talk about the question types that you might encounter in your real IELTS exam. There are 7 question types in IELTS Writing Task 1, and the first one on our list is line graphs. You're gonna see trends over time in line graphs, as you can see here in the image. And you need to have really great vocabulary on upward, downward, and fluctuation languages, and I'm gonna make a video about that in the future. And if you have learned at least one important thing from this video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like the video, and comment. And by the way, don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any other videos. The second question type that you might encounter in IELTS Academic Writing Task 1 is bar charts. You will have data according to different categories. The next one is pie charts, where you have data as percentages. Then we have tables, where you have data in rows and columns. The next question type in IELTS Academic Writing Task 1 is diagrams or processes. There you will have a sequence of events happening. The next one is maps. You will have maps of 2 different countries, or you might also have a map of the specific locations in the past and in the present, or the location of the specific location now and the predicted time. Last but not least, you will have mix of different charts. For example, you might have a bar chart with a table, or you might have a table with line graph. And let's move on to tips for IELTS Academic Writing Task 1. These tips are so important that you can save a lot of time through knowing these. The first one is you don't have to have your personal opinion in your reports, because you describe what you see in the visual. You don't have to include any personal opinion. So that means you don't need to write I, we, or our, or your, because they are personal pronouns. The second one is not having conclusion, because your examiners are not looking for any conclusions. Instead of writing a conclusion, write an overview and put it as the second paragraph in your reports. The third tip that many people overlook is avoiding too much details. Many people write a lot of details, but the IELTS writing examiners don't want you to do this. They want you to summarize the information. How? By selecting and reporting key features only. So your job is just to talk about key features, not every single point in every single year in the visual that you have. Last but not least, use the correct tense, because this might have a huge impact on your grammatical range and accuracy. If you use the incorrect tense, then your accuracy is gonna be so low